Hi everyone, this is Miss P, and this is a review of how to divide a decimal number by a decimal number. So whenever we're doing a division problem and we see a decimal number, we have to ask ourselves an important question. Is the divisor a whole number? Well, in the case of this problem, 37 and 2/10 divided by 3 and 1/10, both numbers, the divisor and the dividend, are both decimal numbers. So we know that the answer to that question, is the divisor a whole number, is no. But we do double check and we see that the divisor is a decimal number. Because we know that the divisor is not a whole number, we have to make it one. So let's start by writing this problem in a way that's a little bit easier for us to work with. 37 and 2/10 divided by 3 and 1/10. Okay, so because we know that the divisor is not a whole number, we have to make it one. So 3 and 1/10, in order to make this number a whole number, we have to multiply it by powers of 10 until the decimal point is at the end of the number, making it a whole number. So I'm going to multiply it by 1 power of 10, and that moves our decimal point one place over, and that creates a whole number. But remember, whatever you do to the outside, or to the divisor, you also have to do to the inside, or the dividend. So because we multiply the divisor by 10, we have to also multiply the dividend by 10. And multiplying a decimal number by 10 simply means moving the decimal point over one space. So now that we have a whole number in the divisor and we have done the same thing to the inside, or the dividend, as we did to the divisor, we can rewrite our problem so that it's a little bit easier for us to work with. 372 divided by 31. Now remember, because we have done the same thing to the outside as we did to the inside, we have multiplied both the divisor and the dividend by a power of 10. The answer to 372 divided by 31 is going to be the same answer as 37 and 2/10 divided by 3 and 1/10. So we're going to focus on using the whole numbers, which are easier for us to work with. So in this case, our divisor is 31. So we have to ask ourselves, how many times does 31 go into? Well, it doesn't go into 3 at all. We know that. So what we can do is we can move one place value to the right to include the next digit and ask ourselves, how many times does 31 go into 37? The number 37 is pretty close to 31. It's larger than 31, but it's certainly not double 31. So it can't go in 2 times. It has to only go in 1 time. So we know that 31 goes into 37 1 time. That's our divide. Next, we multiply 1 times 31. That gets us the number 31. So next, we're going to subtract 31 from 37, which gives us 6. Next, we will bring down the number 2 to create the number 62. Now we're going to ask ourselves, how many times does 31 go into 62? Well, these are pretty easy numbers to work with, and it might be clear to you that 31 goes into 62 exactly 2 times. But if that's not clear to you, let's work through one of the ways that we can figure this out. We have the number 31, and if we want to work with an easier number, we can round the number down to 30. And we can ask ourselves, okay, so I've got about 30. That's my rounded number. And I'm going to ask how many times it goes into 62, and I can round that number down to about 60. So I can ask myself, how many times does about 30 go into about 60? Well, I know that 30 is 3 groups of 10, and 60 is 6 groups of 10. And I know that 6 is going to be the same as 2 groups of 3. And that's telling me that 60 is going to be two groups of 30. So using these rounded numbers, it tells me probably about 2 times. Now, let's try to take the actual number, 31, and multiply it by 2 to check if our guess of 2 times is correct. 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 3 is 6, so 31 times 2 is 62. That's exactly the number we were looking for. So we're lucky because we divided to get 2 groups of 31, and now we can multiply 2 times 31. We already got our answer over here, so we can put that here. Next, we can subtract, and that leaves 0 left over, nothing to worry about. Our answer is exactly 12. And remember, 372 divided by 31 equals 12. But that's also the correct number for 37 2/10 divided by 3 1/10. We know that our answer here is exactly 12.